Hey everyone, it's Michelle, the Dreaming Dilettante, and welcome to the Dilettante's Bookshelf. Today's video, I'm going to continue my summer reading series, and I'm going to be sharing with you all of the library books that are on my pile of possibilities. So I actually just picked up 2 new ones from the library today. So I have a huge pile of possibilities here. But again, this is just books that I'm going to be pulling from, and hopefully getting through quite a few of them. I am going to be taking part in one challenge for the summer, and I'll tell you about that when I get to the book for it. And sorry if you hear little footsteps, those are my dogs walking around. So the first book I'm going to read is A Discovery of Witches. This was recommended to me by my librarian. Her and I always share ideas and different things like that, and different books that we like to read. And this was one I was looking at, I think book 2 or book 3 in the series, and that was on the shelf, and that's when she mentioned to me, oh, it's part of a series, and so she put in a request for this book for me. So this one is an irresistible tale of wizardry, science, and forbidden love. Deep in the heart of Oxford's Bodleian Library, Diana Bishop, a young scholar and the descendant of witches, unearths an enchanted alchemical manuscript. Wanting nothing to do with sorcery, she banishes the book to the stacks. But her discovery has set a fantastical underworld stirring, and soon a horde of demons, witches, and other creatures descends upon the library. Among them is the enigmatic Matthew Claremont, a vampire with a keen interest in the book. Equal parts history and magic, romance and suspense, A Discovery of Witches is mesmerizing and addictive tale of passionate obsession that reveals the closely guarded secrets of an enchanted world. So this sounds really good. It's a pretty hefty book. It's about, it's like 578 pages, and I've had it for a while. So this is the first book I think I'm going to try to tackle because it's the one that's going to be due back the soonest. And this is also one that will qualify for the challenge that I'm taking part in, which is Sue Jackson's Big Book Summer. So this is my first time taking part in that challenge for her. So I thought it might be fun to do that. And I think I'm going to either use this book or one other as my book for that challenge. The next book that might be for that challenge is The Prince of the Skies, and this is by Antonio Iturbe. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. And this was by Deborah Harkness. I just wanted to say this book here. I'm really bad at remembering to put the author's names when I talk about these. So this book I found while I was just kind of wandering one of the local libraries, and it sounded really interesting. In the 1920s, long before he wrote The Little Prince, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry was an accomplished pilot. Along with Jean Moremas and Henri Guillemot, he was chosen to pioneer new mail routes across the globe. No distance was too far and no mountain too high. Each letter had to reach its destination. The 3 friends soared through the air while a world torn apart by wars and political factions awaited them back on solid ground. This is a gripping narrative of death-defying plane crashes, heart-rending love affairs, and unexpected fame, as well as an homage to Antoine, an unforgettable writer who touched the lives of millions of readers. So this one also will qualify for the Big Book Summer. I think for Big Book Summer, it just had to be over 500 pages, if I remember. I'll put a link to Sue's channel in case you haven't been to her channel and you want to find out more about her challenge, but I'll put a link to that in the description box below. But this book just looked really interesting. I love The Little Prince. Despite my horrible French pronunciation of all of those names, I'm sure it was terrible. But I'm just really excited about delving into this book. So I think this is the next one due on my list or something like that. So what I've done is kind of broken down all the books that I currently have checked out from the library in the order that they're due back, and if there's any that aren't available for renewal or things like that. And that's how I'm determining what I'm going to read. So these will be the first 2 that I dig into. Then the 2 I picked up today, so these will probably be last on the list, is The Duke and I, the Bridgerton series. I have not watched the show or anything like that, but I thought the books seemed interesting. Again, I haven't seen anything from the show. So if you're a fan of the show, please comment below and let me know if I should check that out as well. And preferably, if you read the books and you've watched the show, which one you think is the one to start with first, like the better? Is that the right way to word it? You know what I mean? Like sometimes you love a book and then when the show comes out, it's completely different. So anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. So this is the book 1 in the series. In the ballrooms and drawing rooms of Regency London, rules abound. From their earliest days, children of aristocrats learn how to address an earl and curtsy before a prince. While other dictates of the tone are unspoken yet universally understood. A proper duke should be imperious and aloof. A young, marriageable lady should be amiable, but not too amiable. Daphne Bridgerton has always failed at the latter. The 4th of 8 siblings in her close-knit family, she has formed friendships with the most eligible young men in London. Everyone likes Daphne for her kindness and wit, but no one truly desires her. She is simply too deuced honest for that, too unwilling to play the romantic games that captivate gentlemen. Amiability is not a characteristic shared by Simon Basset, Duke of Hastings. Recently returned to England from abroad, he intends to shun both marriage and society, just as his callous father shunned Simon throughout his painful childhood. Yet an encounter with his best friend's sister offers another option. If Daphne agrees to a fake courtship, Simon can deter the mamas who parade their daughters before him. Daphne, meanwhile, will see her prospects and her reputation soar. The plan works like a charm at first, but amid the glittering, gossipy, cutthroat world of London's elite, there is only one certainty: love ignores every rule. So it sounds really interesting. Again, I don't know much about the television series, but I do know that the books came first. So I'm excited to delve into that, and I might try that first. And this one actually came out because I've never, again, seen a James Bond film. But I forget what I was watching or reading, or it might have been another booktuber. And I heard about it was another booktuber. And they were talking about I think it was a bookshelf tour. So if I can find that video, I'll link it below. But he mentioned the series of the James Bond, which honestly, I don't think I knew were books. So I thought I'd check out the first one. And it says, the Schiff is a lethal Soviet operative with a weakness for gambling. He's already lost 80 million francs in a French casino, and the British Secret Service would like to see him lose his life as well. Bond's mission is simple: bankrupt the Schiff at the baccarat table so his paymasters in Moscow will kill him to avoid further embarrassment. But the cards refuse to cooperate. Bond finds himself holding a bad hand and the barrel of a gun pressed against his ear, and his gorgeous female counterpart in the clutches of Smersh kidnappers. If his luck doesn't turn soon, 007's number might be up. So I thought that would be interesting. It's not too long of a book, so I thought it'd be fun to give something different a shot. Next and you can tell I'm going all over the place, and that's just how I read. So yeah, there's lots of stuff all over the place. The next up is called 20 Hours and 40 Minutes, Our Flight in the Friendship. This is by Amelia Earhart. I think I mentioned that I had gone to a presentation about Amelia Earhart. It was a one-woman production. It was really fantastic. It was held at the local library. And so I took out some books about Amelia. And one I was able to get on Kindle, so I haven't read that one yet. And I think I might have been able to get 2 of them on Kindle, but this one I couldn't. So I've had this again for a little while now, but it's only 150 some odd pages. So hopefully I can get through this well. But it just basically talks about Amelia's flight in the friendship that she did. So I thought it would be something that would be interesting to check out. Next is this is a children's book. It is called The International House of Dereliction here. And this one says, 10-year-old Alice is a whiz at fixing things, particularly old houses. She should be. She's helped her parents fix up the 10 houses they've lived in since Alice was born. Now, when her family is forced to move for the 11th time, Alice's eyes wander to the house next door, a once grand mansion abandoned and condemned. It's the perfect repair job. As Alice begins to restore the house to its former splendor, she senses a strange presence. Does the house have a heartbeat? Is there something moving inside the walls? What are the shimmers of light that appear and disappear? And is someone watching her? Alice realizes she's not alone. 3 ghosts are trapped in the house, along with something in the attic that has no name. Desperate to move on, the ghosts need Alice's help before they can become happily settled and leave the house forever. But Alice is running out of time as the demolition day approaches. So it sounded like a fun story to read. I think I was waiting for my kids to do something and I saw this one sitting on the shelf and I suggested it, but they weren't interested. So I took it for myself. Next up, and this was again when I was wandering with the local libraries, I found it on the bookshelf. It is called The Miniaturist. If you don't know, I am a beginning miniaturist, and I've been working on renovating my childhood dollhouse. I actually have a channel here on YouTube. I'll put a link if you're interested in that kind of thing. But when I saw this, I thought, oh, this sounds like right up my alley for that. On a brisk autumn day in 1686, 18-year-old Nella Ortman arrives in Amsterdam to begin a new life as the wife of illustrious merchant trader Johann Brandt. But her new home, while splendorous, is not welcoming. Johann is kind yet distant, always locked in his study or at his warehouse office, leaving Nella alone with his sister, the sharp-tongued and forbidding Martin. But Nella's life changes when Johann presents her with an extraordinary wedding gift, a cabinet-sized replica of their home. To furnish her gift, Nella engages the services of a miniaturist, an elusive and enigmatic artist whose tiny creations mirror their real-life counterparts in eerie and unexpected ways. Johann's gift helps Nella pierce the closed world of the Brandt household. But as she uncovers its unusual secrets, she begins to understand and fear the escalating dangers that await them all. In this repressively pious society where gold is worshipped second only to God, to be different is a threat to the moral fabric of society, and not even a man as rich as Johann is safe. Only one person seems to see the fate that awaits them. Is the miniaturist the key to their salvation or the architect of their destruction? So it sounded really interesting, and so I had to pick this one up and check it out as well. And then that same wandering trip that I mentioned, and I don't know, I think I might have years and years and years ago read a Danielle Steele novel. I have not read a lot. I'm not a big romance reader, but this one just sounded interesting, and it's called Royal. Let's see. As the war rages in the summer of 1943, causing massive destruction and widespread fear, the king and queen choose to quietly send their youngest daughter, Princess Charlotte, to live with a trusted noble family in the country. Despite her fiery, headstrong narrative, the princess's fragile health poses far too great a risk for her to remain in war-torn London. Third in line for the throne, 17-year-old Charlotte reluctantly uses an alias upon her arrival in Yorkshire, her 2 guardians the only keepers of her true identity. In time, she settles comfortably into a life of the spotlight, into a life out of the spotlight, befriending a young evacuee and training with her cherished horse. But no one predicts that in the coming months, she will fall deeply in love with her protector's son. She longs for a normal life, far from her parents and infant. She longs for a normal life. Far from her parents, an infant is orphaned as tragic turn of events. Alone in the world, the child will be raised in the most humble of circumstances by a modest stable manager and his wife. No one, not even she, knows of her lineage. But when a stack of hidden letters comes to light, a secret kept for nearly 2 decades finally surfaces, and a long-lost princess emerges. So this sounded like a fun read as well. The last one was recommended in my book club, and it is Stephen King's Fairy Tale, which apparently is most of Stephen King's writings that I have read are a little more graphic, gory than I like. But I was recommended this one because it's different than his normal writings, so I thought I would give it a shot. Charlie Reed looks like a regular high school kid, great at baseball and football, a decent student, but he carries a heavy load. His mom was killed in a hit-and-run accident when he was 7, and grief drove his dad to drink. Charlie learned how to take care of himself and his dad. When Charlie is 17, he meets a dog named Radar and her aging master, Howard Bowditch, a reclusive in a big house at the top of a big hill with a lock shed in the backyard. Sometimes strange sounds emerge from it. Charlie starts doing odd jobs and loses his heart to Radar. Then, when Bowditch dies, he leaves Charlie a cassette tape telling a story no one would believe. What Bowditch knows and has kept secret all his life long is that inside the shed is a portal to another world. So this sounds really, really interesting. So I'm going to give this one a shot, possibly. And this one actually just misses qualifying, I think, for the big book summer. I think it's, oh no, wait. This one could also qualify. So I have 3 potentials for big book summer. So I'm excited to try those out. And I think I've shared with you on here before that what I tend to do is I like to have a lot of books and at my disposal. I'll take out a bunch, as you can see, in various genres from the library. And then I start them. And if I'm not grabbed within the first few pages, I just return them and I move on to the next in the stack. So I have zero problem DNFing books. I have enough to read from. I don't think I've read any of these that are sitting here. So I have definitely plenty to check in and find new ones. So I don't really need to, I have plenty of books. So I don't really need to sit and read ones that aren't gripping me. So that is my library edition of my summer reading plan. So if you want to find out a little bit more about my summer reading plan, I do have an accompanying blog post in the description box below where you can check that out. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this video. I would love to hear what you're reading for the summer. And if you're taking part in Big Book Summer, please do let me know what you were going to be reading for that. And I will see you again next time. Take care. Bye.